Good morning, good afternoon, or wherever you're joining me from. Welcome, welcome, welcome back to Too Ambitious. And most importantly, Happy New Year. Happy 2026. Can you all believe that we are in 2026? I know I can. It's insane, right? I'm kicking off the year today with an extraordinary founder. You guys know that, for the last 2 years, I've had some extraordinary women founders on our show. And I'm so excited about the woman that is joining me today. But let me tell you, if this is your first time joining this show, like first time ever, I want you to light up the screen, drop me some hearts, show me some love in the comments, because listen, love is all we need, right? Well, we need a few other things, um, but I want you guys to show me some love. Let me know how you're living. Tell me where you're joining me from. That would be great. But without further ado, let me introduce my first guest of the year, which is super exciting. So I'm excited to have the fabulous and wonderful Samia Laaboudi. She's an award-winning and certified image consultant and the founder of the SL Story. Now, she's a New York-based image consultancy that's focused on helping people to redefine their image, to help them feel confident and empowered. Now, beyond transforming the lives of her clients, Samia partners with brands and institutions through trend workshops, events, and speaking engagements. She's also part-time professor at Parsons School of Design, which is amazing, AICI Global Fashion Editor, and UN Stripes Fashion Week Editor. Yes, I know. That's a lot of accolades, right? She's the bomb. So please give it up for the wonderful, the beautiful Samia Laaboudi. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Too Ambitious.
Hello. Hi,
Hello.
Trish.
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course, of course. Welcome. And so, full disclosure, we've known each other for some time, and I've been dying to get you on the show. And now that you're finally here, I'm like, yes.
100%. It's been a while, for
Yes, it's
sure.
it's it's definitely been a while. But yeah, but to start off, tell us a little bit about the work that you do at the SL Story. Like in your own words, how would you describe it?
Mhm. Well, for me, I would describe it as I help really women align their image with who they are becoming. Life has so many transitions and shifts. So whether it's a new promotion, becoming a mom, or launching a business, I'm really there to guide them. And sometimes when they are in those shifts, there always that quiet thought, my outside doesn't match my inside, right? And I'm there to really help them bridge that gap through color, wardrobe strategy, and style.
Mhm.
And what I would say, what is very important in my work is that we always start with mindset,
Ah,
with
yes.
really helping them,
Yeah.
seeing themselves as they truly are and not with all the self doubt, the negative thoughts, and also all the challenges they may have, with sometimes body insecurities or things that bother them, with their image in general.
No.
So I would say, when people think, oh, style is just about clothing, for me, it's definitely much more than that. And it's really helping those women return to themselves and
Yes.
work with the next version of themselves with more clarity.
I love that. And you're right. Style is so much more than just clothes. And I love that you said mindset. So important to how you feel about yourself and how you see yourself. And the fact that you're helping women do that, I think is extraordinary. But first tell me, how did you develop your love for fashion and style? Where did this come from? I know for me, I love getting the September issue of Vogue, and that big
Yes.
old thick Bible. But for you, what was it? What sparked that?
Well, I grew up in Morocco, for people that don't know. And in Morocco, actually, we also grew up, with having those fashion magazines. But I would say it was more about the culture in general. And for me, it was movies, the magazines, but also had the chance also to travel a lot. So for me, it's all those inspiration through cultures and just really knowing about the brands and the story behind the brands. That what I mean, something that I was always passionate about, and not just about, the clothes and style, but just the storytelling behind it. And actually, one thing that I think, never shared before
Ooh, do
is
tell.
that my attention to style actually started very early on. The reason why is because I did ballet for a decade. Yes, I don't even think you know that.
No, I did
um,
not.
yeah, so with by doing ballet, basically at the end of every year, we had performances in the theater in Rabat in Morocco. And what that meant is, costumes, makeup, having to embrace different personas through, the characters we were kind of playing and dancing. So for me, it was really when I learned that image is so important, that stage presence, and really knowing that style is actually more like a language of identity and just storytelling in general. So I think, mixed with all that, and also living in Paris, of course, the capital of fashion, being able to really have that access to the brands, to the culture through the museums, it just really sharpened my eye, I would say, for fashion. And of course, last but not least, being in New York with all that,
Absolutely.
blend of culture and diversity, for me is just what mixed all those inspirations, I would say, in my fashion sense as well.
Absolutely. And I definitely see that in your style and how you put your looks together and everything like that. And, we met on Instagram years ago and,
Yes,
you were traveling the world, but not for fashion, as a consultant, right?
exactly. Yeah.
So, which was totally different, right? So tell me a little bit about, you went from being a consultant to moving into the image and consulting business. What prompted that shift? Working
Hmm.
9 to 5 and everything like that.
Yes.
What was happening during that time for you, and what made you decide, like, hey, I'm going to go in this direction of chasing my dreams, abandoning it all, and
Hmm.
starting your own business?
Well, actually, I think at the beginning, the idea was not I want to chase my dream. It didn't start that way. I think at the beginning, when I was, working in consulting, as you mentioned, I was traveling the world for my clients, which was, a lifetime experience because I learned so much, even for fashion, because I could discover, all the cultures and styles. But what really I think was the helped me with that shift is that I moved to New York, and at the
Mhm.
same time actually decided to leave the corporate world after a burnout. So that burnout really helped me actually refocus on what matters for me and why, like, what I want to do with my life. So basically, of course, I had the passion of fashion, but I never actually saw fashion just like, okay, it's styling clothes.
Right.
I always knew that it was much more deeper than that, but at that time I didn't know really how I was going to make it actually come to life, right?
Yeah.
So when I moved to New York, COVID hit. So it was the time for all of us to reflect on, what we're doing, how we want to live
Exactly.
our lives.
Yep.
And through my research and all the things that, I actually was resonating with me, right, in
Right.
terms of what I want to do, um, that passion kind of became my purpose because I really wanted to not only work in fashion. That was not the primary need or something that I wanted, but
Right.
it was definitely how can I make an impact onto people's life? How can I help them transform themselves and just empower them? Because deep down, I always love to help women and just, coach them and help them just become their next version of themselves.
Yes.
So I thought it was the perfect time, and this is how I got my certifications at FIT, at Parsons, and
Mm.
also in color analysis. So I developed all those things, and when things reopened, this is where I launched my business and started having my clients. Just to give
Wow.
you a bit more context in terms of
Yes, yes, yes. I
how it
mean,
started.
I love that you got your certification in image consulting,
Mhm.
and you also, basically you put in the work, ahead of it all, and I think it was great that you're in New York too, definitely inspired, what's to come, Tell me a little bit about those first, the first, let's say the first 6 months of your business.
Mhm.
What was that like for you? Like, how were you finding clients? Were they coming to
Mhm.
you, or were you meeting them at, like, different fashion events or something?
Well, at the beginning, I would say, I mean, as all entrepreneurs that are listening to us, it's
Yeah,
all about discovering what is an entrepreneur life
yeah,
is, right?
yeah.
Because there's so many things that we don't know before
Yep,
being an entrepreneur,
yep,
because becoming from, especially coming from a 9 to 5.
right,
So it was definitely learning about how I wanted to conduct my business, what type of clients I wanted to have,
right.
and also really focusing on the services, I would say, that really resonated with me the most, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Because I think image consulting can be so many things, and
It
people
can.
don't necessarily know that before.
Yeah,
It can only be focusing on brands, it can be just for bridal
right,
or just for, doing corporate workshops. So
right.
for me, I mean, what was sure is that I was always uh, my core focus was definitely individuals, so that I constructed my business around that.
Okay.
And with the first 6 months, it was definitely a lot of word of mouth, because
Yeah,
I had launched my website and started to talk about it a little bit through my Instagram.
yeah,
But it definitely started slow, because I wanted to make sure that I was, really understanding, my audience, and also understanding my client, and making sure I can serve them better.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that was my how I started, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's super important for you to take that time and give yourself that grace in the beginning, finding what resonates with your audience. We know how important that is, especially as an entrepreneur, is who is it that will, basically look to you for the services? Who's your
Exactly.
ideal client? So I think that's super important for you to do. And, now you've built up your services, you have the website, you're doing all the things, but tell me a little bit about some of the services that you offer to your clients.
Hmm.
I know one of them is like color analysis, but you also,
Hmm.
work with brands and enterprises to develop, color workshops and master classes and everything like that. Tell me more
Hmm.
about all that.
So, again, as we mentioned earlier, I work with a lot of individuals. So one of course, the services is color analysis, and it's important to mention that first, because for me, color analysis is definitely the foundation of everything else that I do with them,
Yeah.
and I always make sure that we start with that before doing anything else. So
Right.
sometimes clients can come to me and ask me for help, for example, for styling.
Yeah.
But before we jump into the styling, we always start with color analysis, because it
Smart.
really helps to have this foundation. Make sure
Absolutely.
to really, give them their palette, and make sure
Yes.
we have this image assessment first, because then we can do styling more intentionally and making
Right.
sure we include their colors.
Yeah.
So that for me is definitely super important. Um,
Yes.
and for me, what one important thing also to mention is the 12-week image and style transformation program
Yes.
actually gathers all the main services that makes someone that really want to do the 360 shift and really work
Yes.
much deeper for their image, is
Mhm.
something that is a step-by-step method that I also developed with my clients, where we really
Yes.
touch on all those points, so when they finish, they have their image and style figured out, and they can really become like step into this next version that we were talking about it in much
Yeah.
more confidence and clarity.
Absolutely. I love the 12-week program, you know, because they really get to spend a lot of time with you. They learn about themselves. You're teaching them, you know, more about color and style and what works for them. It's not just a one and done, right? Um,
100%.
what are some of your clients saying about your program and your services? I'm sure they love you, first of all, you know.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I think for the, especially like you mentioned, the 12-week program, I think what people need in those moments of, doubt and transition is to have someone that really is there to help them,
Yeah,
evolve in those step by step. Because I
absolutely.
always say that it's a process, to learn about their, like, the color palette, but also learn about more about yourself is something sometimes that people need some time to digest. So
Yeah,
having me, there to really help them better understand the different silhouettes, the different, styles that can really help them elevate their image
yeah,
is something that is very useful and help them really have that big foundation to really start, this new image fresh and
yes.
just ready to conquer the world. So that's what we want.
Yeah, absolutely. How does it feel for you to
Mhm.
know that you're helping these women to become their best selves, right? That's gotta be a good feeling, you know?
I mean, 100%. And that's why I said at the beginning is definitely something that became more for me as, my mission and my why. And the reason why I do all this, it's not just about creating looks for my clients, it's
Right.
really helping them feel good inside and out,
Yep.
and making sure, I give them all the tools and all the things that they need so that they can feel the most empowered and just the best version of themselves. So it definitely, as I said, much more than just style and fashion, but it's really helping, also unlock all the self-doubt and also the body challenges that they may have,
Yeah.
because we really touch on all the different struggles that they have in their lives.
Yeah.
So we go very deep. Like, people think it's just about putting looks together, but it's definitely much more than that.
Right. It sounds to me like you really get into their heads too,
Oh,
you
yes.
know, because you got to, like you said, you've got to shift the mindset, you know, they've got to change their perspective and how they see themselves. And that, I mean, you're like a psychologist, you know?
Well, we don't like to say that because we don't take any we don't take the job of the psychologist, but
Right.
definitely we contribute to sometimes the work that they do with their psychologist, for
Yeah.
example, because we just help translate this, their personalities as well. Because as I said earlier, when we want to evolve and elevate our image, sometimes we know deep down how we want to look, but we don't know how to bridge that gap. And this is
Right.
where I come into play, and I just help them really have all those tools and understand, what will work for them. So I
Absolutely.
think that it's definitely more, as I said, like more of a mission. That's how
Yes.
I see it.
Yes, I love it. Mission-led company. Love that. And if you guys have any questions for Samia, she, you know, we're here, you know, so ask questions away, and you can follow her on LinkedIn and on IG. And obviously, as you see there, her website, the slstory.com. So definitely you can reach out to her if you have any questions. So I also know that you also have a membership program for your clients.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about that. I would think that's probably awesome to have, you know?
Well, I mean, for like the membership program, the reason why I put that in place is because sometimes, women don't just want that one time glow up or
Right.
finish for example, the 12-week program and
Yeah.
then not having that extra support.
Correct.
So the membership program is basically for, I would say, for women that want that ongoing support,
Okay.
accountability,
Yep.
and, like, that elevation in terms of style throughout
Right.
the whole year. So
Got it.
it's a support not only in styling but also in shopping. And I have actually three different tiers depending on the level of support they need.
Okay.
And basically what is really helping is that they have all their wardrobe digitalized in their app because they have that access. So basically, I can not only use what we add into the wardrobe, but also start with what they have in their closet first and
Ah,
help them, elevate those looks. So whether it's for specific events or sometimes for, helping them, to pack for certain trips or just, basically have their outfits scheduled for the month,
right.
as, busy women or
Yes.
executives, right? They don't
Yeah.
have the time to take care of that. So it's just for me helping them to have this getting dressed, but in a much simpler way, have access to that through their phones,
Yeah.
and really having, those foundations that are already done before, but just having
Yeah.
this ongoing support.
Yeah, it's a awesome service. I can imagine so many women wanting to sign up for that because, having you right there and, having that support, I think is super valuable to, especially women who are on the go all the time.
Exactly, exactly.
So yeah, I think that's wonderful. So I also know that you still participate in a lot of the various fashion weeks. We know New York Fashion Week is coming up soon. That's amazing. You do a lot of stuff in terms of being a contributor to those various fashion weeks. You do webinar trends, and
Mhm,
tell me a little bit about the work that you do.
mhm.
I know that you do a lot of speaking. It's not just the styling, but you're speaking and hosting and all that right now. Tell me more about that.
Well, first of all, before New York Fashion Week, actually January kicks off menswear and couture, and I will be in Paris for that. So follow
Amazing.
along.
Okay. Woo.
So yeah, the year. I mean, there are so many fashion weeks all
Yeah.
year round,
Yes.
but I really focus on Paris and New York being my most important markets.
Yeah.
But I mean, talking about Fashion Week is definitely a full immersion
Right.
in into creativity, whether it's attending shows, presentations,
Right.
meeting also designers, editors, and I actually had the chance to interview several designers backstage during Fashion Week for certain publications. So
Yeah.
that's also something that I always try to do because I always love to share with my audience, but also with, just image professionals,
Yeah.
everything that is behind the brands and the collections, because I
Absolutely.
think we need to understand the inspiration and just understanding all the things that goes into those
Yeah.
collections, whether it's the craftsmanship, all the definitely and you mentioned the trends as well.
Yeah.
So again, all the things that I'm seeing into the fashion weeks definitely is very priceless because it's definitely a first hand, insight into everything that is coming, right?
Yes.
So for me, I would say, if we want to kind of link that with the work that I do with my clients, but also with, the image professionals,
Right.
is really helping, translating all
Right.
those runway insights
Ah,
into things that we can bring into the real life. Because
yes.
sometimes we see the runways and we think, how am I going to even wear
Yeah.
this? So sometimes it's hard to kind of understand how to use those inspirations and trends into how to bring them into the closet. So basically, this is what I do. I try to condense all those insights and these key trends into webinars, and also helping to give that first hand trends, to share that with my clients so that they know what's coming and they're ahead of the curve. So yeah,
Yes.
that's the objective.
Yes, and I love that. I love that you translate the style that's coming off the runways because sometimes, yeah, it doesn't really translate to like everyday life. So I love that, you sort of kind of bridge that gap, if you will,
For sure,
So
yeah.
yeah,
And again, as you know, there are several fashion weeks, and just the fact that to have, like, in 1 hour, a trend report that gathers all those things, it really helps image professionals also educate their clients at the
yeah,
same time, right? And just have something that is more, I would say, insightful, just to see how to bring it into the closets of our clients.
Ah, I love that. I've got a question from the
Mhm.
audience.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Sure.
we've kind of touched on this already, so I don't know if maybe they missed that first part, but the question
Mhm.
is, have you always been in styling or did you start out in another industry? Would love to know more about how you got your start. And we did touch on that in the beginning, but if you could just give them a little
Of
taste.
course, yes. So I started my career in finance and consulting. So definitely not at all in fashion, but it was definitely a passion of mine that I developed and did more research in it. And it's only when I moved to New York that I really did that shift, going from the consulting and finance world and moving to the fashion industry. And I had to, as I said, do all my certifications and really start from scratch because, definitely a new country, a new network that I had to build all those years, and that I'm very proud of, because it's not easy to
It's not
start
easy.
from scratch, especially in fashion.
Yes.
And yeah, and this is how I got my start. And I think it's just having that mission that drove, like, really gave me that drive, I would say, to really help women, and just give them that that boost of confidence that they need. So this is really what pushed me to really start my business. I don't know if
Yeah.
that answers quickly the question,
I
but
think it I think it does. No, thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate
of
that.
course.
For somebody who's out there who wants to be an image consultant, what advice would you give, especially
Mhm.
as you said, there are different ways to approach, image consultant.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit, what advice would you give if someone came to you right now and was like, Samia, I want to do what you're doing, you know?
Yes. So what I would say is to first starting to ask the question, what type of transformation are you most passionate about? So
Okay.
is it more color analysis? Is it more style strategy? Or is it just working with corporate clients?
Mm,
So first starting to do the research, because there are so many ways to do image consulting today.
right, right.
But definitely, what would be my biggest advice is really to trust your vision,
Yeah.
and don't be afraid to do things differently,
Yeah.
especially now with the AI era, with the new technologies.
Yeah.
So I think that now more than ever is the time to experiment and try new things.
Absolutely.
But what is sure is that there is a lot of ways to do image consulting today. So first, starting by defining the services that you want to provide, and
Right.
then making sure to making them your own, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you are your personal brand. People will come to you because they want to work with you. So never
Right.
forget that. That's what I would say.
Yeah, great advice. Yeah, thank you for that. And my last question to you is, do you consider yourself ambitious, Samia?
Well, I think you already know the question, but I would say yes. And I think I'm very intentional also reclaiming this word, because I feel like we need to normalize, ambitious women, because
Yes.
I think when we say, when a woman is too ambitious, sorry,
Yeah.
sometimes people can be uncomfortable,
Yeah.
because, ambition is not necessarily loud. And for me, it's really taking up the space with confidence.
Yeah.
And even though sometimes people can be uncomfortable, but I think it's just because it just mirrors their insecurities. So never take that personally. Just really trust your gut and just really be yourself. And for me, being ambitious is also always, growing and always trying to be your next level you. So
Right.
it's about growing and
It
just
is.
keep, doing what you do. So I
Yeah.
would say yes, yes to that.
Definitely. I'm definitely not surprised by your answer. I've known you for some time, and yes, you're definitely ambitious and with a great mindset and positivity and everything like that. So, no surprise of all your success, But so, tell us a little bit about what's next for you. Is there anything that you're working on or excited about? New year. What's coming up for you and your business?
Well, I would say for this year, I have few things that I'm working on. I cannot say much, but I will definitely share that soon.
Yeah.
But definitely, I will be doing more speaking engagements and more workshops. So definitely, this year will bring more of that,
Yeah.
and I'm very excited about that. And of course, continuing to serve my clients and welcome also new ones, because
Yes.
I definitely, always want to serve as many people as I can.
Absolutely, absolutely. And where can we find you? I know you're on all the platforms, well, not all of them,
Yes.
but most platforms.
Yes. So basically, in all the platforms, you can find me through the same handle, DSL Story. My website as well, that you see in the bottom of the screen, dslstory.com, has all the information. But definitely, you can DM me on Instagram, where I'm the most active, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
But definitely reach out to me there, and can't wait to connect with all of you.
Yay. I love that. Thank you so much, Samia, for taking the time to be with us today.
No, it's
To
my pleasure. My honor too. Thank you, Trish, for having
You're
me.
so welcome. You're so welcome. I enjoy learning more about you, and I love seeing your work. Every time you pop up in my Instagram feed, I'm like, "Ooh, what she's doing now? This is amazing." You're doing amazing stuff, and I love that you're doing it as your. It's a mission for you. It's a journey of love and doing something that really fills your cup up. So,
100%.
very inspiring, and I thank you for sharing your gifts with all of us. So I appreciate
Oh,
you.
thank you. Thank you so much, Trish. And thank you for all your support
Of
for
course.
all these years. And I
Yes.
want to say that because we always need our support system, no matter what stage we are in our
So
businesses.
true.
So I think, and I would say that to all the women that are listening to us,
Yeah.
never, stop saying what you think about all your friends are entrepreneurs, because we
Yes.
always need those words of,
We sure do.
encouragement to push
Yes,
us
we sure
more.
do.
So,
All the time, all the time. So you heard it here first, people. Just keep encouraging your fellow
yes.
entrepreneurs because it ain't easy in these streets. So, but thank you. Thank you again for your time, Samia. And thank you
Thank
everyone
you
for
so much.
watching today. I appreciate all of you for joining. Follow Samia on IG. She's also on LinkedIn, but hit her up on IG or check out her website, and if you are looking to make a transformation and a mindset shift, she is your woman, and she will help you to basically elevate and take yourself to that next level. So, thank you all again for watching. I will see you next time with another amazing woman founder right here on